Hi lovelies, welcome to my channel Simply Josie. Yep, we have a new name which I will delve deeper into why I chose this name at the end of this video. But before that, I would like to say thank you so much for visiting my channel. If you're new here and you like my videos, please subscribe, hit the notification button so that you wouldn't miss any episode on this channel. Like, share and comment. I love to hear from you, so please do well to share your comments in the comment section. Thank you so much for visiting my channel. God bless you. Now, before I go on with today's video, which is about the book of Esther in the Bible, let me tell you, it's the 6th of my Omad diet. I don't know if you can see any changes in my face. I don't know myself. I'm going to wait till day 20 to weigh myself. And so far, Omad is Omading. Omad is doing the magic and I really love it. So far, so good. I've been able to fall in. Yesterday, I woke up very hungry, but today, hunger is not going to have the best of me because I'm sticking to my 3 to 6 eating window and I am not going to let hunger have the best of me. So that is an update on Omad. 6 days now, 14 days to go. Now, if you have been following my channel from the beginning, you will remember that I mentioned one of the things I do when I wake up in the morning is to read my Bible. I have a Bible app on my phone and each day it tells me which book and which chapters to read every single morning. And this morning, the chapter that I read was the book of Esther, chapter 1 to chapter 5. We all know the story of Esther. If you're a Christian and you've been to a Sunday school, then definitely you've heard the story of Esther. But if you do not know the story of Esther, don't worry. I will delve into it. I will summarize it for you so that you will have an idea. But why am I talking about the story of Esther? Because after reading the first 5 chapters of the book of Esther, it gave me 3 perspectives to what the book entails. Like, I picked 3 important lessons that I would love to bring your mind to it if your mind has not ever gone to that aspect of the book of Esther. But before I give you those 3, let me summarize it for those who do not have knowledge about the book of Esther. So the book of Esther was written about Esther. In the first chapter, the king of the town, I think it's Susa or something, yeah, and he threw a banquet and invited all the people, the low life, the high life, the wealthy, the nobles, all to this banquet. And for 180 days they were just celebrating at the queen's palace. And on one of the days, the king was so drunk and he wanted to show off his lovely queen, which was Queen Vashti. So he asked that they go and bring her for her to come and show her beauty to all the nobles who are present. But Vashti, who was also throwing a banquet with the ladies, refused to come to the king. So the guards or the people that the king sent came back and told him that Vashti refused to come, and the king got really angry. He didn't know what to do, so he consulted his advisors, and one of them told him that since Vashti, who is the queen of the land, has disrespected you, then the ladies are also going to think it is okay for them to disrespect their husband. So what you should do is that go through the town, let them select virgins, groom them, and choose one as your queen and replace Vashti with that person. And that advice pleased the king. So King Xerxes sent out letters out there for them to bring virgins to be groomed. Then he will select a queen from it. So among the virgins was Esther. Now, Esther was a cousin of Mordecai. Mordecai took care of Esther when Esther's parents died. So when Esther was selected to be among the virgins to be groomed, Mordecai told Esther, do not let anyone know that you are a Jew, because Jews were like more like slaves that they were brought after Nebuchadnezzar, I think so, overthrew their country and brought them as slaves. So people don't necessarily regard them. So Mordecai told Esther, don't let anyone know that you are a Jew. And Esther said, okay. So Esther went. They were groomed, they were taken care of. So they was going to be taken care of for about, I think, a year. And when it is your time for the king to see you, you will go into the king and spend the night, and you will come back to your chamber. But when Esther went, the Bible says that she was very beautiful. Her shape and everything was beautiful. Esther had favor when she went there. So the person in charge of all the virgins liked Esther, and so she gave Esther the best servants, put her in the best room, and took very good care of Esther. So on the 8th month, on the 10th month, Esther was called in to be with the king. When she went in, the king just loved her. He liked her first sight. He liked her. So the king put the crown on Esther's head and made her queen, and replaced Vashti with Esther. Now, there was a man also in that town called Haman, and he was promoted by the king for whatever reason. And so everybody who see Haman is supposed to bow to him, because among all the nobles, he was more like their head. He was above everyone. So it's more like after king is Haman. And so everybody who sees him have to bow and, give him the respect needed. But Mordecai, who happens to be a Jew, never bowed to Haman. And Haman initially didn't know. But two of the guards who knew went to tell Haman that this man, Mordecai, who is always at the palace and roaming around, he doesn't bow whenever you pass. And Haman went to Mordecai to ask him to bow. But Mordecai refused to bow, because as Jew, they believe that the only person that they are supposed to bow to is God. So it's either God or God. They are not going to bow to any human being. And because he refused, Mordecai was very angry, and Mordecai decided that I'm going to punish this man, but I wanted to hurt him so much, so I'm not punishing just him. I'm going to let the punishment extend to all the Jews. Little did he know that Queen Esther is also a Jew. But she has not told anyone, because Mordecai had told her, don't let anybody know that you are a Jew. So Haman went to the king and said, king, so these people, the Jews, they don't obey our laws. Everything that he says for us to do, they neglect it. So I want you to give me the power so that I will destroy them. In fact, I'll even pay in the treasury coffers, so that you will punish them. And the king says, take my ring, use it as a seal, write letters to all the provinces, and use my ring as a seal, so that when they see the ring of the king, they would know that it is important. But don't even pay any money. Go ahead and do whatever you want to do. So Haman was happy, and he wrote letters. So according to the Bible, if we are comparing that time to this current calendar, we'll say that Haman wrote the letters in January, and the Jews were supposed to be killed in December. So the letters were distributed. Now, Haman, forgetting that already two guards had conspired to kill the king, and Mordecai heard and told Esther, and Esther told the king. And so these were in records that there was a time two guards wanted to kill the king. Mordecai heard it, and they told the king, and the guards were killed. And so Mordecai's name is in the record, but he has not been rewarded or anything. So when Haman wrote those letters and was waiting for the time to kill the Jews, Mordecai, upon hearing what is about to happen to them, the Bible says that he tore his clothes and put on sackcloth and ashes. I think that's what the Jews used to do when they are really sad and they need to go to God. And he started crying. So every day he will pass in front of the palace. Because he was in sackcloth, he can't enter there. So he was always crying. Then Esther's servant saw him and went to tell Esther that this Mordecai, I don't even know why in the Bible, if the servants knew that Esther have a link with Mordecai, how come they never thought that Esther was a Jew? Anyways, so they went to tell Esther about what is happening to Mordecai, and Esther sent new clothes to Mordecai to put it on, so that he will be okay. But Mordecai refused it. And so the servant sent the cloth back to Esther, and Esther said, okay, go and ask him what is worrying him, why is he in sackcloth, and why is he crying and wailing, and why is he in ashes? So the servants went, and Mordecai told them all that Haman has decided to do to the Jews, and even gave a copy of the letters that was written to be given to Esther. So Mordecai told Esther that she should go to the king and plead on behalf of her people. When Esther read it, she sent a message back to Mordecai and told him that the rule in this palace is that nobody goes in front of the king unless you are called. And if you are not called and you go, and the king does not hold his gold scepter to you, he doesn't hold it up for you, then they'll kill you. So I can't just go to the king and plead for my on behalf of my people. Then Mordecai replied and told Esther, don't think because you are queen and you're living in the palace, when it is time for the Jews to die, you wouldn't die, because you are also a Jew. For all you know, God put you in the palace for a day like this, and now that day has come, and it is time for you to do the needful. So having told Esther that, Esther then sent back a message to Mordecai and said, okay, if you said so, then this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to fast for 3 days. I'll do that with all my servants. We are not going to eat, we are not going to drink anything for 3 days. Please go and gather all the Jews. Let them also fast for 3 days. No food, no water, no drink, nothing for 3 days. And after 3 days, I will go in front of the king. And if I perish, I perish. Meaning, if whatever will happen, will happen. So Mordecai went ahead to do all that Esther had told her to be done. And after 3 days, Esther put on her robe and went before the king. Now, don't forget that the king fell in love with Esther first sight. So that day, when Esther approached the king's chamber, or the throne room, or wherever the king sits, the king saw Esther and he held up his golden scepter. That was a sign for Esther to approach him. So Esther approached the king, and the king asked Esther, what brought you here? What is it that you want? Tell me. Even if it is half of my kingdom, I'm going to give it to you. And Esther says, okay, if I have found favor in your sight, my dear king, then I'm inviting you and Haman to a banquet that I am throwing at my chambers. Then the king said, go ahead and call Haman now. So the king and Haman went to the banquet, and the king again asked Esther, what is it that you want? Tell me and I'll give it to you. And Esther says, no, not today. Tomorrow I'm going to throw another banquet, and you and Haman should come, and I'll tell you the favor that I need. So the king and Haman left, and then Haman went home. When he went home, he was very, very excited because, come on, Queen Esther is throwing a party, a banquet, and she did not invite anyone else except him and the king. No noble, nobody except Haman and the king. So Haman was excited. He threw a party. He called all his people, his wives, his kids, and everyone, and they drank and jubilated. Why? Because he's going to go and dine with the queen and the king. Then whilst they were jubilating, one of them suggested, I don't really remember if it was his wife or his children, that since you're going to dine with the king and queen, why don't you ask the king so that he'll punish Mordecai? Just tell the king what you want to do to him, but before that, put up a very long pole so that they will hang on Mordecai on it and kill him. So Haman was happy with that suggestion, so he made them put up a very long pole, thinking that, okay, tomorrow when I go to see Queen Esther and King Xerxes, I will tell the king and Mordecai will be killed. Now, the next day came. Well, the rest of the story is in chapter 6 to the rest of the chapters, but in chapter 5, that is where it ended, where Haman put up the pole. But since I'm telling the story, I better tell everything. The long and short of the story is that when they went to the second banquet, the queen, which is Queen Esther, told the king that someone wants to kill her and her people, and that infuriated the king, because who would want to kill my queen? And the king asked Esther to mention the person who dares want to kill his queen, and Esther said it was Haman. Now Haman was sitting there with his face. So guess what happened? The pole that Haman made for Mordecai, in the end, he was the one who was hanged on it, and he was killed. And even before he was killed, the king had a sleepless night and brought the records and remembered that, oh, Mordecai saved my life when he reported the guards, and we have not rewarded him. So he made the same Haman who hates Mordecai to go and reward him by putting him on a horse, put a rope on him, and pass through town hailing him, Mordecai. All hail the man that saved the king, or I think something like that. It's like singing praises to Mordecai. That is how God come back. That is how God punishes your enemies. So why am I taking my time to tell all the story about Esther? Most times we just hear the story and we are just excited. But 3 things that I learned from the story this morning was that, first, Mordecai told Esther, do not let anybody know that you are a Jew. That is lesson number 1. Sometimes in life, it is important to keep certain things to yourself. Be silent. Just keep it to yourself. At the right time, when you have to say that thing, you will. But until then, keep it to yourself. Let it be your weapon. Something that may in the end come to save you. And because Esther was very obedient, she obeyed Mordecai and did as he said. And at the right time, she used the same information to save her people. The second thing that I learned about this lesson was that when Esther approached the king, she could have just said, when the king asked Esther, what do you want so that I'll give it to you? Esther could have just go ahead and say, is it not Haman? He wants to kill my people and he wants to kill me and but no. She applied wisdom. Wisdom. The wisdom God gave all of us. What did she do instead? She said, please come to a banquet that I am going to throw. Now she invited her enemy. The enemy had no clue what is coming. So he went and he enjoyed himself. She made him feel comfortable, trusted her. And not only that, she invited him the second time. Now it has entered his head and he's feeling all bossy and all those kind of things that the queen loved me, the queen loved me. He didn't know what was to come. And that is a weapon. Learn to apply wisdom in everything that you do, because when you rush and you make hasty decisions, it will not land you in any way. And so learn to apply wisdom in everything you do. Think deep about things before you react. And the last thing that I learned from the story was when Mordecai told Esther, maybe God put you in that palace for a time like this. That tells you that God knows what he is doing. God knew that at a time Haman is going to ask for the Jews to be killed. But God knew a Jew. God needed a Jew to be in power that would save his people. So what did he do? He made sure that Esther was elected or appointed as queen of the whole land. A stranger whom nobody knew was a stranger to be queen. And when the time came, she revealed herself and saved her people. Sometimes we go through things and we have this victim mindset. God, why did you let me be laid off? God, why did you allow this thing to happen to me? And you cry and you are grumpy about it and you are sad about it. But what we do not know is what is to come. What is to come is that God is using that to take us to another level. God is using that, the job that you are sacked, God had to let them sack you so that you will have a rethink of your life and realize the talent, the skills that he puts in you that you can use, but because you are comfortable at your job and wherever you are, you have not tapped into it. So God allowed you to be sacked. God allows us to go through certain things so that he will let us learn a thing or two, or for whatever it is coming. And that is what happened with Esther and the Jews. So these are the 3 lessons that I picked from this book of Esther. I wanted to share with you. I was really excited about it, and I don't think most of you who have read the story has delved to that aspect of the Bible. So there you have it, guys. Whenever you are found in a situation, learn to keep certain things to yourself. Apply the wisdom God gave you, and also always thank God in any situation, because for all you know, He's using that situation to take you to a different level that you do not know of. And that is what I have for you this morning. Now, before I sign off, let's go to why I selected Simply Josie. Yes, I wanted a name that resonates with my personality. Remember that in one of my videos I mentioned that don't allow yourself to be niched down, because when you niche down, you feel like you're in a box, and everything that you should be in line with your niche. That is what happened when my channel name was Reinventing Josie. I thought that every video that I should be in line with reinventing yourself and becoming the best version of yourself. I didn't want that. I wanted to share more than that. And I'm not saying that by changing the name it stops me from reinventing myself. No, because this channel is all about self-improvement, self-help, life experiences, life lessons, and a whole lot. So yes, I am still reinventing myself, but I am also allowing myself brother to talk about anything and everything that I would love to talk about. Now, before I settled on Simply Josie, I had quite a few suggestions down. I had Josie's Corner, which I didn't really like, because which corner am I in and who am I in with that corner, and what are we going to talk about? So I didn't like it. Then I came up with Josie's Take. Okay, so there are topics and I tell you my take on those topics. Not bad. Then I also came up with Josie's Insights, which is more the same as Josie's Take to me. Then I came up with one more. I can't recollect, but I wanted Josie to be part of my channel name, so I just didn't know what else. Tea with Josie, yes, that's what I came up with. Tea with Josie. Well, it's also not bad, but what tea are we talking about? Then when I was giving up, I was like, okay, you want to be authentic, you want your brand identity to resonate with your personality, your values, and your content style. You want to be yourself, you want to be your authentic self. Then why not Simply Josie? And I loved that name, so I decided to settle on Simply Josie, and that is how we came across this name. So there you have it, why I changed from Reinventing Josie to Simply Josie. I hope you like it as much as I do, and that brings us to the end of today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, to like, to share, and comment, but most importantly, hit the notification button so that you wouldn't miss any episode from this channel. Thank you. God bless you. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye, lovelies.